Have you been diagnosed with nasal polyps? Contact Prism Clinical Research for more information about our nasal polyp study.
The Wild pick up a big 7-4 win tonight over the Florida Panthers. It's time for Wild Breakaway, presented by Prism Research. With Ben Clymer, I'm Audra Martin. Tonight in Florida, it was one team looking to keep their spot in the playoff picture alive against another team in the Minnesota Wild, hoping to get out of a little bit of a slump. What resulted with those two teams was a bit of chippiness and a lot of offense for the Minnesota Wild in a very big 2 points. Tonight, it was an all-around team effort.
Well, it was, and it needed to be. The Minnesota Wild did what they needed to do, score the first goal, but then all of a sudden there was a brief nap in the second half of the first period into the second period, but the Minnesota Wild started to return to what was a very structured game. At that point, yeah, they saw, I guess, the end game coming to them. That was a touchdown on the board for the Minnesota Wild, which is an amazing feat considering the perseverance they had to overcome, given the lackadaisical effort they had in Tampa only a night before.
And Chicago falls to Detroit, so now it's a 3-point lead in the standings for the Minnesota Wild. Here's the rest of your final stats. A season-high 46 shots on net for the Wild, 40 for the Florida Panthers. 0 for 3 on the power play. Things have cooled off there. That's 3 straight games without a goal on the advantage for the Minnesota Wild. But tonight, again, a team effort. 12 different players finding the score sheet tonight, so it seems like Bruce Boudreau might be onto something with the combinations we saw tonight.
I thought this was good combinations, and I mean, if they work like that all the time, they'll stay together like that all the time. I thought we got contributions from everybody. I mean, even when the Arcala line went out there, they were playing with full of energy, and nobody really wanted to tangle with them. So it was good. But I think Marty Hansel, you see why we got him today. He was a beast out there, and I think everybody else, all three lines were good.
So here's a look at the final 3 games of this 5-game road trip. Sunday, it's an early game against the Chicago Blackhawks, and Tuesday night, another tough opponent in the Washington Capitals, and they'll close things out Thursday night against the Carolina Hurricanes. Of course, first things first, Sunday afternoon, Chicago Blackhawks, the very team chasing the Wild in the standings. And if that isn't already a tough enough matchup and a lot of history between those two teams, the Blackhawks are going to be out to get those 2 points they lost tonight back and try to close things up.
Well, the Chicago Blackhawks understand the importance of having extreme home ice through the playoffs as far as they need to go, which is their goal year in and year out at this point. And where they have progressed under Taves, under Kane, is the Stanley Cup final. And they need that home ice advantage to get over the Minnesota Wild. They need to get over the Minnesota Wild to get that home ice advantage. They will be passionately pursuing the Minnesota Wild. It should be a wildly entertaining game. Minnesota Wild going into it in proper form. It's set up to be a precursor to what should be a very interesting playoff season.
Tonight was a big win and certainly gives them that momentum and that confidence to take on the Chicago Blackhawks, which is always a tough matchup. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy that game on Sunday. We'll see you back on Fox Sports North Tuesday night for the game against the Washington Capitals. We'll see you in a few days. For Ben Clymer, I'm Audra Martin. Thanks for joining us on Wild Breakaway, presented by Prism Research.